Hi, I'm Aaron Tweeten, and I want to just show you a quick look at the blocks that are in the box when it comes to the new Gutenberg editor in WordPress 5.0. So, unless you've been living under a rock for the last few months, you probably heard about a new editor for WordPress 5 called Gutenberg. And some folks love it, some hate it, but I don't care about that. I just want to show you how it works and why you don't need to worry about it so much. I've been using Gutenberg for the last 6 months on my website since it was in beta testing, and I like it. It's got some quirks, but once you get the hang of it, I think you'll discover many things it does better than the previous editor, and gives you more creative control with the blocks that come shipped with it. So here's a breakdown of the different blocks. So I've got a test site for WordPress showing right here. It's the default 2019 theme. And this is basically using the new interface. If you've used the previous editor before, it looks radically different. Notice as I hover over things, you see like these, this button to add a block. So I'm going to show you what these different blocks are. At the very top, you'll see most used. And what's really nice, there's a search feature in here, so you can type in something like if you want to embed a YouTube video, or say you want to add a paragraph or something else. But if I click on this, the very first thing are common blocks, and these are the bulk of what you'll probably be using in the new editor. You've got paragraphs, headings, lists, images, and other things. Back in the previous editor, the bulk of the content was in one giant block. The way that it works now is that everything is separated. So, for example, if I type in a heading, I'll just type in heading 1, and then some great paragraph, and then another great paragraph. So the way that these are, press return, the way that these are set up now is that they are individual blocks. Notice as I hover over them, you can actually move the position. So I can drag this up here if it works. There we go. I can also click these buttons to move things down. And that's a little, it takes a little getting used to. If you have ever edited articles on Medium or Facebook or LinkedIn using their native format, this might seem a little bit familiar. So anyway, that's kind of how the blocks are structured. That's the, let me click on this again, and then show you again the common blocks. So we got paragraphs, heading, lists. Everything is its own separate block, and I'm going to cover all of these in more detail in other videos. Underneath common blocks, you have formatting blocks. And these are blocks of content that need to be formatted differently, such as HTML code, like if you have a code snippet, if you've got some custom HTML or a table. Now in here, there is a classic editor, actually. So if I click on this classic block and click inside of it, now what you see is you see the toolbar that came with the previous editor. So everything should seem familiar. And one thing to note is that if you have installed WordPress previously and you've upgraded to 5x and you've got the new Gutenberg editor, any previous posts that you have are likely going to be stored in this classic editor block. And so, you can have whatever you want in there. And notice I can make the changes. I can do everything that I could do in the previous editor. And you also have the option here, if you wanted to convert it into separate blocks, what it will do is it will break this up. In fact, I'll do it right now just to show you what happens. So now what's happened is that it's taken these blocks and it's broken them up to use the new editor format. Underneath that, there's another section called Layout Elements. And these are blocks that define the layout of the page, or at least they say they do. There's some weird ones like button. I wouldn't consider that a layout element, or me in text. But these are kind of the new things that come in here, but especially the button, the columns, this one, which is medium in text. Some of these other ones like more, page break, separator, they were always included. And then there's also spacer. The next category is widgets. You've got shortcode, which is basically just including a shortcode. You can also dynamically show archives or your categories or your latest posts, which is a neat little feature. There's this category up here called Inline Elements, but there's only one thing in there, and it's just for adding inline images inside the paragraph. And when Gutenberg was in beta testing, I remember on the forum that was one of the biggest complaints was that people could not add inline images. And I've still had some issues with it as well, even with this block. But I never really used inline images that much, so it's not a big deal for me. And let's see. Oh, and then the last one are these embeds. And this is something that a couple of days ago I was actually doing a lot of testing for to see how this works. What this allows you to do is you can basically select like a Twitter embed, and then you can type in the link for a tweet. Now there's some gotchas, and I'll explain that in another video. But when I tried putting in my my Twitter profile, it actually embedded the entire stream. So that's something to kind of be careful about. And then just let me remove this and create a new one. Like I said, the interface takes a little getting used to, but I have actually liked it. I prefer it. There's still some things I miss about the way that WordPress was laid out, but I'm getting used to it. If you have a different plugin, or if you have plugins like Yoast SEO or Jetpack, you will likely see an additional category in here. In this particular situation, I just have a test site and I don't have any plugins installed. I purposely wanted to just strip it down to show the very bare bones. But you might actually see that. You might see an additional category. Anyway, I hope this is helpful. The next video I'm planning on making, I'm going to go over the different common blocks. And some of these, you know, there's nothing spectacular, but there's some pretty cool ones, like the quote, the cover, even the video. Anyway, hope you found this video helpful, and if you have any Gutenberg questions, please leave them in the comments, or you can contact me on my website at aarontweeten.com. Thanks.